So in the last video, we created this giraffe, and to do it, we took a plane that had the image and we made the white area transparent. And then we modeled this shape to attach the plane to, so it looks like a sticker on a little wooden toy that's been created. Now, sometimes you don't want to have just a plane stuck to something. You might have a curved surface, or there are many reasons that this doesn't work, but this is kind of a quick cheat if you don't need something too precise. So in this video, we're going to learn how to do it, I guess you would say, the hard way. So let's start by adding an image. And the other day I did the elephant. So if you have a different animal, that's fine. So I have the elephant. And to make this easier, I'm just going to hit the slash key once and it will bring everything back. And right now the elephant is the only thing selected. So if I hit the slash key again, it will just focus on the elephant. And we're going to rotate this on the x-axis 90 so it's standing up, just like we did the giraffe. And the first thing we want to do is model the shape that we'll be attaching or putting this on. So let's hit Shift A, go to Mesh Plane, rotate this on the x-axis 90 degrees, grab it on the y-axis, and I'm just going to hit the left arrow key one time to move it right in front of it. Next, I'll hit 1 on the number pad, so I'm looking at it from the front, and I'm just going to scale the plane down. Next, I'll just move it down on the z-axis so the bottom of it lines up roughly with the bottom of his feet. Now we'll switch to edit mode, and I'll delete these vertices and then grab this on the X to kind of get ready to build the shape from an elephant, just like we did with the giraffe. It doesn't have to be perfect, just kind of a rough outline of the shape. Just rather quickly. Obviously, you can take your time and get it closer to the shape if you want. So we're just going to keep working this up. Let's grab this on the x-axis and bring it out. I'll bring this one out a bit more. Let's pull that one out a small amount. Move this up. And let's grab this a little bit. So, doesn't have to be perfect. Just a simple shape that represents your animal. Okay, so I feel like that's pretty close. Once you have your shape, we'll switch to object mode. We're going to add a subdivision surface to make sure that it fits well. You'll notice that it does start to round on the bottom. So I am going to switch back into edit mode. And here at the bottom, in this middle of this section, I'll press Control R to add a loop cut. Click once and just slide that down to flatten the bottom a little bit. And other than that, it seems like everything fits pretty well. Now we'll use a mirror modifier to duplicate this, or to do the other side, I should say. So let's start by hitting A to select all, G to grab, Y for the y-axis, and just pull it out a little bit. And we can change the thickness of this later. Now, we're going to do a few things that I know from experience make the texture fit onto the surface better, but I don't want to go too deep into explaining all this. So for right now, just trust me. Let's go back out and let's apply the subdivision modifier. So I switched to object mode. I'm going to apply the subdivision modifier. And when I go back, you're going to see that we have some more sections. Now, I think I actually want to have a few more sections than this. So I'm going to hit Control Z and do that a couple times until you see subdivision come back. And let's change the levels in the viewport to 2, and that will give us a little more geometry to work with. Now that we have that set to 2, let's go ahead and apply it. Now switch back to edit mode, and that gives us more vertices to create with. Okay, Now let's make sure you're in edit mode. We're going to add the mirror modifier to make the back. So we'll select mirror. And once again, we'll have to use Z, where we rotated this on its x-axis. The z-axis is going in a different direction compared to the world axis. And we're going to turn on clipping. Let's go ahead and switch to object mode, and we can now hide the elephant because we're not going to need that anymore. Now that we've done that, select our pieces and go back to edit mode. And I want to select this outside edge. I can do that by just kind of left clicking to unselect everything. Press Alt and left click. You can see it gets most of the vertices going up the top here. Then I'm going to hold Alt and Shift. Left click here on the edge. It's going to get this section. Alt, Shift, left click here, and it will get most of that. And then at the very end, Alt, Shift, left click on the very bottom, and that should get everything on the very bottom edge. So once you have that, we're going to now hit E to extrude, Y for the Y axis, and pull it in, and that will close off our shape like so. Now we can add the bevel if we want to round these sides off. Actually, we may not be able to add the bevel, and I will tell you why. I wasn't thinking about this. Actually, it should work. Hang on just a second. Let me pause this and see what I'm doing wrong. Okay. I'm not sure why it's not working. So we'll just delete that and we'll leave it like this for now. We can come back and add subdivision surface later, but this gives us our basic shape that we're going to attach the elephant to. Now we can go ahead and give this the wood material, or if you want to do the painted material, whichever one you want to add to it. And I noticed I didn't name this. I'll do that real quick. So the first thing you notice is that our wood isn't really showing the textures. So temporarily, we're just going to go into edit mode, hit A to select, U to unwrap, and we'll do Smart UV Project just so we can see the wood grain, but we're going to do something different in a few minutes. So we are in the shading tab and we're looking at the material for our elephant. Now I don't want to overwrite the original wood material, so I'm going to make a copy of it and I'll just name this elephant for now, like so. And what we'll need to do, like we did with the paint on top of the wood where we had some chips, we're going to have to use a mix shader. So just hit Shift A and search for mix shader. And we're going to plug that in to the output, and we'll plug the principled BSDF into the bottom slot. Now, let's go ahead and select the principled BSDF, and we'll hit Shift D to make a copy and move that up to the top, and we'll connect that to the other input of the mix shader. Now, this will be where we pull in the elephant image. So select the principled BSDF, then press Control T, T is in tree, and that will give us our texture coordinate, our mapping node, and a blank image node. Now, since we already brought the elephant picture in, if we click this drop down, you should see the elephant image listed in the options here. Okay, so we can see that our elephant is appearing, but it's not lined up correctly. So before we get into adjusting this, let's go ahead and use a color ramp to eliminate or get rid of this white background, and that will allow the wood texture to be shown behind it. So we're going to, and you notice that I did this when I was talking, I just move this up and this down so I have room to put the color ramp right here between. So Shift A and search for color ramp, and we'll put that between. So we're going to pull the color from our elephant picture. We're going to take the color from the color ramp and plug into the factor. Next, let's look at the color ramp, and we're going to change this setting from linear to constant. And then we should be able to drag the white over until we get rid of all of the white around the outside. And you don't have to be super precise depending on the quality of the picture. And you'll notice that we are losing some details that are white on the elephant. And that's just part of the drawback of using just a white background. But that will give us a pretty good result. Now we want to fix the elephant and get it lined up correctly. So let's go to the UV editing tab, and we have everything here, and we don't really need to see everything. So we're going to first switch over to, and you'll notice I'm going back and forth across this menu by rolling my mouse wheel. Let's go just to Eevee, I'm sorry, the last tab. And I'm going to hit the slash so we focus just on the elephant. So let's hit A to select all the vertices here on the screen. And then we see that we have our layout here on the right. Now, you'll notice that it's broken to pieces. And right now, we want it to actually be kind of one part. So when we unwrap using Smart UV Project, it tries to calculate different sections based on the angle, and then it gives you pieces. We don't want pieces. We want it to all be one thing. So we need to do something new called marking seams. So imagine you had a Christmas present and you were going to cut it, and you took a marker and you marked the areas that you were going to cut. That way you could cut along those seams and unfold it in a logical way. So we're going to switch here at the top to edge select, because the mark seam option only appears when you're in edge select. And we're going to start by just left clicking to unselect everything. Hit Alt, left click on this outside edge that goes all the way around. And we're going to look at the very bottom, and if you have one near the middle on the bottom, we'll use it. So I'll shift left click this part, and that way any weird seams will appear on the bottom or the edge, but not on anywhere else. So once you have all those selected, we'll right click, and we're going to look for marked seam. Be careful. Don't select mark sharp. Make sure you select marked seam. And when you do that, all of that will turn red. So now, if we hit A to select everything, U to unwrap, and just the first option, unwrap angle based, it's going to make all that together. So I had to pause for a second, and someone came to my door to ask me a question, and I came back down to start recording, and I worked really diligently and realized I did not unpause the video. So instead of redoing this, I'm going to start where I think I was at. So when you're watching this, if I have skipped something, let me know and I will explain that in class. So just to kind of review, it looks like in this part I have marked the seam. It looks like we have selected it, and we hit U to unwrap, and then unwrap angle base, the first one. I feel like that's kind of where I left off, so I'm just going to start there. So what this gives us is the elephant. We have the mesh UV map all connected. We can hit A to select all of this and scale it. And I have proportional edit on. I'm going to turn that off for right now. So you can scale this. Overall, you can scale it on the X or the Y. You can grab it on the G axis to line it up, scale it up and down. If you need to move one certain area, you can turn proportional edit on, and for example, select this one vertice, grab, and you can see that that will change. We can increase that circle to adjust a larger area. So if you need to tweak small parts, you can do it that way. So take a minute and get your elephant kind of lined up. So once you have that, we're going to go back into object mode. And I want to show you one more thing before I finish the video. We're going to go to the shading tab, and I'm going to rotate this so the light's hitting this side a little better. And I want you to notice that the elephant actually has the wood texture also. And the reason that happens is because we have two different pictures that Blender is using to give us the wood texture. The bottom one is the normal map, which is this purpley colored image, and that goes directly to the Principled BSDF. It goes to the mix shader, and then some of that is eliminated because of the color ramp. The black areas aren't letting any of this information show through where the elephant is. Now, let's look at the displacement. We have the displacement, it goes to the displacement node, and that bypasses all of these and goes directly to the material output. So this information is applied to both the elephant and the wood. So now it looks like the elephant was just some ink that was printed onto the surface of the wood, and that wood texture is still showing through. So I can unplug this and it will look flat again like a sticker, or you can leave it plugged up to make it look like it's been printed onto the surface. Okay, so we'll stop there with this video. And in the next video, we'll put an image onto one of the train cars, something that already has the shape created, but because it's got so many different faces, messing with the UV map will mess with the wood texture. So we need to kind of work around problems like that.